Thank you, Tuvia, for the music. Oh my gosh. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Fabulous.
What? No, not yet, Ray. Ray is so excited. He's going to light the chalice, and he's even tested the clicker. No, not yet. You two are funny. You all are funny. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to FOOF. My name is Sally Wantz. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. We begin this morning by reminding ourselves that we stand on the land of the first people of this area, the Saisla Indians. And we are grateful for their stewardship of the land, the water, the air. And we give thanks to the tribe, the generations past, present, and future. Blessed be. And if you would, Tuvi is going to lead us through our opening hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. If you want to look at the hymnal, it's number 123. If you know the words and the music, then you don't need to. So join us in singing Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. So if the microphone's on, would you turn it off so we can save the battery? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Tuvia. And I remind everybody, cell phones, right? Let's turn them off. Sally, it's off. Yes, it's on silent mode. Everybody, please do the same. And, the FOOF has requested that we continue to remain masked while we're here in our building. So whatever mask you have, please wear that unless you're behind this podium. Reminder that the season for nonviolence continues through April 4th. Just want to remind you. And then March 31st is the International Transgender Day of Visibility. So let's make sure we are mindful of that. Next Sunday, we have Dean Schrock returning, and his message is titled Awakening and Enlightenment. Yay! Mark Levy will be hosting an interfaith convocation on climate change on April 3rd. I know he has flyers to share. They'll be at the back podium from 2 to 5 at the New Life Lutheran Church at 21st and Spruce. All are welcome to come and encouraged. Again, flyers on the back table. This will be a really great opportunity to really hear from our faith leaders in this city about climate change. So it's not just all science, but it has other things to do with it, right? So we're all in this together. So let's join Mark and support him in that on April 3rd.
The green old deal.
It's the green old deal. Dean will also be hosting his monthly Connecting with Your Soul meditation class on the 5th at 5:15. All are welcome to Zoom and be a part of this, okay? And then I'm just going to ask if there are any visitors here for the first time, if you would like to stand and introduce yourself. I think I saw someone walk in. His name is Richard. Hi, Richard. So, Richard, what brings you here to? This is not working. Okay. It's not working. It is. You can hear me through the microphone, through the speakers.
I can hear you through you.
Okay. I can hear you through you. Richard, welcome to FOOF. We hope you come back often. I want to offer you this. It's our little book called Windows to the Light.
Oh, thank you.
Book of haiku meditations. We hope you enjoy.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Anybody else here for the first time? Nope. Okay. And we're not sure why the mic isn't working, but we'll make do. So at this point, why don't we take a moment and turn to the person next to you, in front of you, beside you, under you, over you, and just say good morning. Just good morning. Now it's working? Okay, thanks. So as you looked around, if you notice someone not here today that you usually see or haven't seen in a while, maybe reach out, give them a call, send a text, email, phone call, visit, knock on the door, and say hello and that we missed you. And special thanks to Paula Harrison and Ruthie B for being our greeters this morning. Yay! Appreciate that very much. Following today's service, Kathryn will be in the side room offering affirmative prayer for those who wish to seek that with her in confidence. We always appreciate your doing that for us, Kathryn. Thank you. And our guest today, Elaine Cornick, is going to be in the library and around to meet and greet with you. I know she would love to meet as many of you as possible, talk about today's message or anything else that's on your mind. She'd love to meet you in the library. Are there any other announcements? Ray, you want to talk about the Ukraine?
Yes, I'm very happy.
Right here, Ray. Microphone. Just don't have to get too close.
I'm very happy to announce that we sent to Poland for the Ukrainian refugees 1,915.29 in euros, which is 2,197 American dollars. So thank you, everyone, and particular thanks to Pam Gettler because she did all the extra work to count all the money and make the transfer. So thanks.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Ray. Nice job. Nice job. And speaking of Ray, he's offered to light our chalice, our flame. Now. Oh, you've got a job, permanent. So these words come from Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice each week with a simple spark to make holy our time together. With this flame, may our highest intentions be refreshed. With this flame, may we remember we are who we are and whose we are. With this flame, may our faith be renewed and reignited to guide our journey. Amen, and may it be so. So I invite Kathryn Hemmons, who's going to come up. And Kathryn, nice part is you don't have to speak right in the microphone. Just stand right here and
Alrighty.
chat with us, okay?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is the part of the service where we share our experiences of hope realized, intentions manifested, or assistance needed from our community. Joys and concerns. If anyone has anything to share, we come right up here around the music stand. Yeah, I guess so. Sally will hand you the microphone, and when you're done, you can drop a shell into the cleansing water. It's a little ritual we do to, represent the intention being entered, being known.
I have a great joy.
Great.
All right, so I have spent the last 3 days, today I hope to finish, cleaning out my garage. Not mine, our garage. I mean, half of the stuff in there is Jennifer's, right? So I have uncovered all kinds of stuff. I've got a box filled with memorabilia from the 40s and 50s when my father was in business.
Oh my goodness.
Articles about his company, and I'm reading them and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I ran across photographs of my grandparents' home in Rockford, Illinois, got the address, sent a note off to the current owners and said, here's some pictures from the 40s of this house that you now live in. I hope you enjoy. I've had so much fun. I found my old diary from the 1960s. Oh my God, yesterday on this date in 1966, I was hot and heavy and in love with Wayne Frederick Johnson. Let me just tell you, lots of memories are coming up. Dreams are abounding. So this is for going down the memory path of life.
Yes.
Anybody
Anyone
else? I
else?
can bring the microphone to you, or you can come on up. Edie. She's going to sit there, and she's going to sit and talk.
Thank you. I ride my bicycle all around here, and we thank the natives for their caretaking. but we are busily destroying the rainforest. Every place you go by, they mow down everything on a piece of property. And I don't know that anyone here can do anything, but I grieve. We are destroying what was saved for us, and it's hard.
It's hard to see, yes. Anyone else want to share a joy or a concern? Elaine?
Put a shell in for her.
Elaine, and I'll get, yes.
I get to do this even though I'm temporary visiting. It's an unexpected manifestation. I used to have a sewing machine that came from my grandmother, and I sewed some of my clothes and did a lot of that. And then, it was a good old Singer, a metal, from 100 years ago, and it finally gave up, and so I let it go some years ago. And I tried to replace it with a new machine, and I did. I replaced it. But this new machine didn't work worth a darn. It was just, it did not sew well, and I finally gave that up. And it turned out it was plastic inside, and wasn't made well, and oh dear. So I haven't had a sewing machine for some years now. I don't know, 5 or 10 years, and I need to shorten things. I'm not all that tall, you've noticed maybe, and a lot of times the sleeves are too long, the legs are too long. I need to shorten things. I need to make curtains for my, and with no sewing machine, I just haven't been able to do it. And yesterday, I was visiting my brother and sister-in-law, and for a little family gathering, and turns out my sister-in-law has this wonderful old Bernina sewing machine that she isn't using anymore, and she was wanting to get rid of it. And I said, okay. Really? And she gave it to me. So I now have a sewing machine going home with me in my car that's a good old metal Bernina, well-made, and I think it'll last forever. It'll outlast me probably. So I'm really happy about that, and it was, one of those things I had been asking for a while, but had just not even paid any attention to it, given up, let it go, and it showed up.
Thank you.
So appreciate it. Thank you.
I found an old sewing machine in my garage, and it was actually made in my hometown, Rockford, Illinois. I think it's called a Bridgestone sewing machine from the 1940s. So can I drop a shell for you, Elaine? And one for Edie. And one for Edie.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone else? No? So one last shell for those we don't know about. Those suffering in mind and body, too shy or frightened to speak their need. And for those who are smiling in peace and contentment somewhere and thinking of us gathered together. I'll end with a part of a Buddhist meditation. If you could put some shells in for this. May all beings be free from danger. And I'm thinking of course, the Ukraine, but close and far. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. And may all beings know peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Kathryn. And thank you, everybody, for sharing. So we have a responsive reading. You should find a piece of paper in your program today. On one side is the reading, and the other side is our opening hymn. So Elaine needs to go get one of those pieces of paper. That's, and one more. Did we run out of copies? Okay.
I have two. Missing.
Okay, want to make sure everybody has one. Okay. So our responsive reading is titled Feel That by Gwen Matthews. I'll lead and you get to read the bold. Feel that? Each breath, every inhale and exhale, we are living, breathing, connected. We are the whole, complete, beautiful selves that we were born to be. Feel that? In your bones, in your muscles, heart. Feel that? It is still you. You are still whole, complete, beautiful, extraordinary. Everybody, feel that. Very nice. Tuvia has selected an opening song today called Let the Heavens Be Glad. Those words should be on the back of that insert piece of paper. So I'm going to invite Tuvia to come up. What's that? Come on up, and we're going to sing Let the Heavens Be Glad. He's going to lead us through the music, and you've got the words.
I was asking Elaine, how can this tie in with your talk? And she looked, it's about unity. And so, like so many things, everything is tied together. And like so many of our Christmas songs that we love so much, it was written by a Jewish composer. So that's unity. Let the heavens be glad, let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice, let the sea roar, let people unite. Let the heavens be glad, let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice, let the sea roar, let people unite. Behold how good and how fulful it is for people to live in peace. Behold how good it is for people to live in peace. Let the heavens be glad, let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice, let the sea roar, let people unite. Let the heavens be glad, let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice, let the sea roar, let people unite. Proclaim liberty throughout the land to all inhabitants. Proclaim liberty, proclaim liberty. Let the heavens be glad, let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice, let the sea roar, let people unite. Let the heavens be glad, let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice, let the sea roar, let people unite. Let people unite, let people unite. Unite, 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 you and me and we unite.
Thank you, Tuvia. That's quite spirited. The unity song, huh? So that should make Elaine feel right at home, right? The unity song. So Elaine Cornick is a cultural catalyst who brings new perspectives and possibilities for our lives. As a student of consciousness for 40 plus years, her experience includes metaphysics, Eastern mysticism through study with a spiritual master, and Native American spirituality through work with the Lakota Sioux shaman medicine woman. Several years ago, she launched the Cultural Butterfly Project, spoke to us about it several years ago, as a catalyst, an inspiration and support for a culture of the greater good and well-being of all. Elaine is currently in a year-long intensive consciousness training program, learning to facilitate groups of people to create what they want to create together, with agreements that are 100% consensual instead of compromised or mediated. City Council. Her bachelor's degree is in psychology, master's degree in social work, and a master's degree in management have been the foundation for her work experience in coaching and counseling, facilitation, program development and coordination, community relations, and sales and marketing. God bless you. Please welcome Elaine Cornick.
Yes, you can applaud.
No, I don't think so, thanks. I think we've got it figured out here that yeah, this is good. I'm not so vertically challenged here. I love it. Good morning, everybody. Oh my, yes, good to see you, good to feel you all. Good to be here. And I appreciate coming back to being able to be with you again. So my talk today is, I had titled it, like my most recent blog was, May the Force Be With You in Our Mission Possible of Peace on Earth. Okay. And you may have, where I think we're all pretty much in the age range where you remember the phrase, May the Force Be With You from Star Wars, huh? Right? And what I'm aware of is that sounds like a statement of power over. May the force be with you, meaning God is on my side, not yours. That whole kind of idea. And that's not what I mean by this. Obviously, this is, that sounds like it's the old paradigm. I mean, you've heard Reverend Ruth talk, of course, about this kind of thing for a while, about the empire culture idea of overcoming, conquering, controlling, dominating, what our culture has been doing for thousands of years. And what I know is that we need a new story here, not the hero's journey in the way that we've imagined it in the past or the way we've been doing it, to overcome, conquer, fix what's wrong, including all the environmental and the social and the political, the spiritual crises, the war. I mean, you name it. We've got a lot of it, and we can't transform things from that mindset, from that place. Einstein's famous saying about you can't solve a problem at the level at which it was created. Well, we've been doing that. We've been trying. We've been giving it our best. Boy, have we ever! Right? And you also know the definition of insanity: doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I'm really tired of that. It hasn't worked well. So I'd like to talk a little bit about this distinction between power and force. And let's see, Dr. David Hawkins, there it is. Dr. David Hawkins wrote a book some years ago called Power versus Force. And some of you are nodding. I think you've read it and may be familiar with it. And I want to read you a few of his quotes because I think they're really pertinent right now, given what we're doing in the world or what's happening in the world with, this, and it keeps escalating. Oh my. So he says, true power emanates from consciousness itself. We see a visible manifestation of the invisible. Power is always associated with that which supports the significance of life itself. Force must always be justified, where power requires no justification. Force must always succumb to power, because of one of the basic laws of physics, that force automatically creates counterforce, so its effect is limited by definition. Okay. Force always moves against something. Power does not move against anything. Force is incomplete and has to constantly fed energy. Power is total and complete in and of itself. It requires nothing from outside itself. It makes no demands. It has no needs. Force has an insatiable appetite. It constantly consumes, takes away life and energy. Power gives life and energy. Power supplies and supports. The sources of power are self-evident. They're not arguable and not subject to proof. So if you get a feel for that, of that power, that true, what I call true power or authentic power that comes from that source, or with a capital S, source inside, the spirit. And so given what's going on in the world that we're all aware of, right? I like the way that Llewellyn Von Lee has an article called Darkness Rising, and I like his thinking about this. It says, what stories speak to us in this darkening time? The invasion of the Ukraine tells the old story of conquest and control. That story belongs to a dying world. When we colonized the land and forgot it was sacred, we lost touch with life. And we need to become free of the ideology of conquest. And stories are what hold us together, sustain us, and give us a sense of belonging. But we no longer have a living story to support us in this condition, our present condition. We are in a dying myth of profit, economic expansion, and the dynamics of force, not power, but force. We're in the space between stories. How we walk in this liminal, this is a liminal landscape. You know that word liminal, like in between times, where it's like neither here nor there yet. And it's very creative, open, kind of, I think of it as juicy, but very alive kind of time. And how we walk through this time will really determine much of the future, the years to come. And so we've been disconnected from the planet, from ourselves, from each other, and one civilization is dying, and there's another one culture is dying as a civilization, but there's another one beginning to be born. We're having labor pains, is how I see it. So we're needing to both hospice the old and at the same time midwife the new. Really confusing in many ways. And what's necessary is a pull from the future, not a push from the past. Not doing it out of fear, like, I have to get them, everything. That won't work either. It's the pull from source, from the future, from inspiration, from presence. And you may be familiar with Otto Scharmer. He's the head of the Presencing Institute at MIT. And he talks about, in his life, I think he must be middle-aged or more or whatever, and that he has seen 3 tectonic shifts, he calls them, in the culture. I've also witnessed these too, and you may have too, but one was the collapse of the Berlin Wall. Remember when that went down? It was going to be here forever and ever. And all of a sudden, one day it wasn't. And it went quiet. People started chipping holes in it, and people started walking through, and it was done. It's felt like a miracle. And then there's the peaceful dissolving of the Soviet Union, when again, who would have guessed? It didn't, and yet that had happened. And finally, the end of apartheid in South Africa. And then, more recently, the first African-American president here of the United States with Obama. So all of these have been cultural transformations that have been driven by movements that were started by just ordinary people, citizens, groups of committed citizens that who cultivated an intentional social field, is how Scharmer calls it. You remember Margaret Mead's quote about, how did that go? Never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world, because in fact that's the only thing that ever has. Well, Scharmer is talking about that as well in his version of it. And when he talks about it created an intentional social field, and this phrase, this sentence just really speaks to me. He said, these movements operated from felt connection to a different field of real possibility, a field of presencing a future that had not yet been manifested. That's what we're up to here, in my opinion, because we are in a quantum field. This is a quantum field, and that's how it works. And last weekend, what a week, a powerful weekend, and from my experience, and it was both the equinox and also a full moon, and I'm not an astrologer, but what I read and heard from people who are, that all kinds of thises and that's is going on, and energetically I could feel it. It was just tremendously potent, and in response to that, I get emails and announcements from all kinds of places across my screen, and I know of at least 9. There were at least 9 global meditations during last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No fewer than 9 that I know about that were being held by all kinds of different groups, including Heart Math Institute and the Global Coherence Initiative, and Buddhist leaders and Hindu leaders and Native American shamans, and that's just what I know about, and I'm sure there were lots more. So I participated in several of those, and I could feel the energy building collectively. That's how it, for those 3 days, it was like we created a vortex. That's what we do, a container, if you will. And it reminded me a lot of how I feel during the holiday season. Especially this last year, I noticed that between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and I've noticed it other years too, that there's this, feels like kind of a bubble of things feel different, just kind of this, walking around and doing all the usual stuff, but something feels different. And then when New Year's is over, it's like, oh, we go back to paying bills and getting ready for taxes and doing work and I kind of life as usual, and it shifts. The container dissolves and the new, the old container is there. But that's what last weekend reminded me of, is we had a different kind of container collectively in consciousness. It's about consciousness. And so it was carrying the energy. And one of the ceremonies that I attended was with a woman who does shamanic work. She's from the Cherokee lineage. And she talked about how in the years past where she's been part of Vision Quest with people, being in support of people on Vision Quests. And you may be familiar with, I know Cherokees, I also know the Lakota Sioux have this kind of tradition too, and maybe other tribes do as well, but where if somebody's doing a Vision Quest, the phrase is that they go up on the hill. Now that may or may not be a physical hill, but that's not, they're going out someplace, they're put in a place, and they stay there for several days, and usually with either no food and no water, or no food and very little water, or and not a lot of, they're not doing comfy camping things. Okay, it's very rigorous, challenging, and on every level, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and that's the point. They are on a vision quest and surrendering to spirit. And she talked about how she was, when she was part of the support team, the quester, the person on the quest, would be up on the hill, and the rest of them would be in camp, okay, whatever that meant, and in support, but very much tuned in. They were energetically supporting in consciousness. And she talked about how that they could tell that the support team would be aware of the quester and be tuned into them, if you will. And she said, for example, one of the support team members would be saying, I think Elaine feels hungry. I've just had lunch, I'm not hungry, but I think I'll eat this apple for her. Okay? And then later on somebody might say, it feels like Elaine's thirsty, I'm going to drink this water for her. Or sometimes more than one person, okay? Or somebody else later on might, Elaine is cold, just shivering, so I'm going to wrap this blanket around, even I'm plenty warm, but I'm going to wrap this blanket around me for her. Maybe several people do that. And then when the quest is over and the quester comes down off the hill, and they all get together and share the experience and unpack it, I call it, and harvest it, and unwrap what the blessings, what the messages and gifts are in it, then what they'd find is, as they celebrate together and share together, is that sure enough, that morning the quester was hungry, and then after a while they weren't hungry anymore, and they said, it tasted kind of like apple. And sure enough, gee, that night I was thirsty, and then after a while I wasn't thirsty anymore. And that second day I was really, really cold. I was shaking. I was so cold I just couldn't even get warm. And after a while I could kind of relax and go to sleep because I was okay. I was warm. It works. This is how it works. We're in a quantum field, folks. And so I just want to suggest and invite you to, this works if we do it from our own sacred place, from our own source, from our own deep feeling of connection and knowing that what if we what if the Russia-Ukraine conflict is really a sacred quest? What if they are doing the quest on the hill for us? The quest for peace and what living peace would be like, is like. And it looks very opposite from that, I know, big time. But what if the real purpose is that they are questing for peace? And what that is, how to do that and what if that make the rest of us? What if we're the support team in camp? Okay? And we can eat for them and drink for them so that they are nourished and they would get it. And we can feel safe and secure for them. We can feel loved for them. We could be all those things for them. And if we do it from this place of knowing, from our own deep place of connection and knowing with Source and grounding that way, it works and it changes things. That's what the transformation is about. So I'm seeing this as a huge opportunity for transformation, but from a very different angle than we usually think about it, from a place of that true, authentic power instead of the force. And you may have seen this image. I didn't see it on the news, but I saw James O'Day in a global gathering, one of these gatherings, talked about this image that he saw on the news that a lot of people saw about when Ukrainians had captured a Russian soldier, and they brought him into the town square, the village square, and there was a crowd of Ukrainians surrounding him. And then one of the women in the crowd pushed forward from the crowd and offered him a bowl of soup. And then another woman stepped forward and offered him a cell phone and said, "Here, why don't you call home?" And the soldier started to cry, just like I am. Who, in my opinion, those two women were real spiritual teachers for all of us. I don't know if I'd been in that situation that I would have had the presence or anything else to have done that. And to me, that they were just really demonstrating what I'm talking about in terms of shifting the energy here. And the other thing about it is that that Ukrainian crowd must have all been part of the support team in camp, if you will, because those women would not have been allowed to step forward and do that if the crowd had not been willing to do that too. The crowd also was holding that space, which to me is just remarkable. Just remarkable. And what a huge learning for all of us. So that's very different than how you might expect it would play. And I have no idea what happened after that. But that little incident to me is it can be this way. It can be this way. It's happening. Now, Ilya Prigogine he won the Nobel Prize in Physics for his theory of dissipative structures, for heaven's sake. But he has a quote that I think is very, very pertinent for right now. He said, "When a complex system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to shift the entire system to a higher order." Small islands of coherence have the capacity to shift the whole system to a higher order, because this is a quantum field. That's how it works. And the Heart Math Institute, you may be familiar with, does a lot of work with this kind of thing, and they have some of their work is in coherence right now, their current work, including personal coherence. And they talk about personal coherence being a harmonious state where our hearts and minds and bodies are united in cooperation and flow. Personal coherence practices can help calm your nervous system, neutralize stress reactions, and discern better choices. One of the major causes of stress is a lack of coherence in our interactions. And then they talk about social coherence, making coherent, heartfelt connections that enhance harmonious relations within families, teams, groups, or organizations. And the harmony creates coherent field environments and has a positive, uplifting effect on social behaviors and interactions. It helps us feel better, safer, and more comfortable, resulting in increased flow and energy efficiency in our communications. Sounds pretty good, huh? We'll take it. Take two. And then their Global Coherence Initiative is a project to unite people in heart-focused love and intention to facilitate the shift in global consciousness from instability and discord to compassionate care, cooperation, and increasing peace. Okay. One of the nice things about this is you can join silently from wherever you are with thousands of other people around the globe doing this as a group. So it creates this synergistic effect, the total being more than some of its parts kind of thing, and the power amplifies that way. And recently their collective care focus has been focused on Ukraine and Russia. They have a free app, would you believe, a global coherence app for this if you want it. They have a little device you can get and download the app in that. You can also, or at least I was last weekend, was able to download it on my iPhone. They've made that available, at least for the time being. And but you don't need apps, you don't need that kind of technology, physical technology, you just need the spiritual technology, right, of connecting in and doing it from that level. So along those lines, Thich Nhat Hanh has said, it's possible that the next Buddha will not take the form of an individual. The next Buddha may take the form of a community practicing mindful living, and the practice can be carried out as a group, as a city, as a nation. So the next Buddha may be a Sangha, this community of like-minded, like-hearted practitioners working together to bring peace, joy, love, and to all sentient beings. Well, to me, that's kind of what we're up to here. And from another perspective or another angle, that was Buddhist, from a native, an indigenous place. There's an indigenous group of people in the Bering Sea of Alaska, the islands up there that we call the Aleutians, or Aleut people. That's not their name. Their name, they are the Inangan, if I'm saying that correctly, Inangan people. And they have a greeting that they say to everybody when they meet whoever during the day. And it sounds like Ang Wan, and it means, hello, my other self. So, hello, my other selves today. That's the consciousness they come from, seeing and knowing, and not only other people, but all other beings, to the tree, to the plant, the earth, the sky, the birds, the animals, all the other people, all the other beings. Hello, my other selves. That really puts you in that oneness, place of oneness. So, Lynn Twist has really recently written how she took an evolutionary leap, and when she was down in the Amazon rainforest, she's the founder of the Pachamama Alliance, as well as having written the Soul of Money book, and a few other things, and she had an experience that just took her an evolutionary leap in terms of her sense of oneness with all life and the joy of that, and the deep connection and beyond what you could even imagine. And I think she's saying it's time for us as a species to make that kind of evolutionary leap. And I happen to agree with her. It feels like that's what we're on the cusp of here, the edge of, and needing to jump off there to cross that bridge. So it's as far as I'm concerned, it's time to call in a new story, to create a new story here, one of reverence and right relationships with all beings, deep connection, surrender to spirit, to soul, source, and integrating the divine masculine and feminine, the sacred masculine and feminine. And a way I can think about it is, you remember that movie from years ago, E.T., the movie E.T., you saw that, right? Okay. And I don't remember it a lot, but what I remember about it, there was one point where E.T. is saying, and looking at, E.T., call home. Remember that part? E.T., call. Well, I'm thinking, humanity, call home. That's what our call home. And that's what Coherence is all about, and that's what Hello, My Other Selves is all about, and that's what this being on the hill, being in a support team for people on the questing, it's all about calling home. So one of the things I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about creating and offering a coherence circle, where for a group of people who want to practice and experience and explore being coherence and radiating that. and doing it from our expanse, and not from instead of at our expense, as Eric Butterworth says in Spiritual Economics. He talks about, creating things out of our expanse from source rather than at our expense. So that's what this would be about. And so if you're interested, please let me know. Connect with me. My business cards are back on the table there, and you could go on my website and send me a message, or email me, or text me, or smoke signal, or carry pigeon, or whatever works. And thank you. I just appreciate being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. I went back to the library to see, and I think we have one, maybe two copies of Power versus Force. Love this book, all about vibrational levels. And if we can do that vibrational level going from fear of what's happening to that of empathy and compassion and love, and do that in our own way, holding that space for the world. If you want to chunk it down to what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, that's another way of doing that. So thank you for that. Love that idea of holding space. Wonderful. Thank you. So we're going to move to our offertory, which this month and next month is for the Florence Food Share. And the funds that we raise for Florence Food Share obviously used to help restock their pantry and provide services to those who are in need of sustenance. And we ask that you consider food share in your giving today, as well as your giving to our particular fellowship. We are self-sustaining. What we give is what we then use to bring back to you. And we have a couple of opportunities for giving then, one for our fellowship and one for food share. If you'd still like to donate to raise particular endeavor, we will absolutely take those funds, hold on to them for a little bit, and then Pam will do her magic and send them off to Poland for help. So on one side of the basket is for FOOF, the other side is for food share, in the middle is for the people of Ukraine. How's that? I'm going to ask if Kathryn would help on this side, and maybe Ruby, if you'd help on this side, just to keep the basket going around. And I want to just ask that we start by saying a simple prayer, and that is that if you repeat after me, that divine love through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Blessed be. So Tuvi is going to play some wonderful music as we pass the basket. Again, FOOF, food share, and Ukraine. Plenty of opportunities. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And for those of you at home watching this either right now, live, or later, because this is going to be recorded, if you wish to donate, you can do so by sending us a check payable to FOOF, P.O. Box 2502, Florence 97439, or you can go onto our website and click the donate button like I did last week and put in my money for the Ukrainian efforts. So pretty easy to do, and we thank you. And for those gifts that we have received, we thank you for your consideration of these endeavors, and thank you for your spiritual practice of giving. Your contributions are received in grateful appreciation. So what do you say? Can we get Ray back up here? Let's see if we can extinguish the chalice, Ray. Okay? This is the reverse, yes. Now you have to blow out the flame or extinguish the flame very gently. He's a good person to do this. I share the following from Reverend Scott Taylor, based on the words of Martin Luther King Jr., titled, A First Step Faith. Go with faith, not the kind that is called to move mountains, but the quieter sort that calls us to take the first step, even when the whole staircase sits beyond our view. And as we stride toward the unseen, may we notice that the way unfolds only as we risk walking it. And may we remember and trust that none of these steps are ones we take alone. Blessed be. At this time, I invite you all to stand and form a big circle around the chairs. We're going to sing our peace song. For those who don't know this song, Tuvia will lead it, and the words are on the program. And I leave it up to you if you'd like to hold hands or lock arms. It's totally a personal preference. But we're going to sing this peace song with all those wonderful thoughts in mind for people around the world who are needing peace. Let's hold that space. So, Tuvia.